A couple weeks ago I made a video going over some Terraria reviews on Steam, and you guys seem to like that video a lot, so of course we're gonna be doing it again. Today we're gonna be going over the most common negative reviews on Steam that I've seen over the past couple weeks, and deciding are they fair or not. Just to warn you for a second, it is reviews on Steam, so you know it's gonna be smart and you know it's gonna be good. Here we go. Do not play solo, it gets to be impossible. I assume what this person means is that the game is a little bit more fun multiplayer, which I would actually kind of agree with for a few reasons. First of all, multiplayer gives you the ability for everybody to be a different class, which is just way more fun for boss fights. It makes everybody play an essential role, whereas if you're playing normal Terraria, you're usually going to go with either one super class or just a little bit of everything. Multiplayer is also a much better alternative for new players who want to learn how the game works without surfing the wiki all the time. They can ask their friends, hey, what do I do? Where do I go? What do I craft? Instead of constantly searching the internet. I don't think solo Terraria is impossible, and obviously I think it's very fun, but I kind of understand why somebody would prefer multiplayer, because I also prefer multiplayer. This Shioti Aslon Giger Asas Keys game. Yeah, you see, the thing is with comments like this is, at first I liked Terraria, and then I read this and I was like, oh wait a second, Terraria's terrible. I could not think of more miserable combat in a game. Terraria's combat, not the best in my opinion, but not the worst either. I personally think that Terraria's combat is one of the coolest things about the game for the most part. It's not the most balanced, it's not the most insane or complicated, but it's just fun, and most of the game revolves around it. I would say Terraria overall is a loot game. It's about finding good accessories, crafting cool items, and making good armor. Ultimately, there are other things in the game, but that's the main purpose, and because of that, combat is an essential part. So it makes sense. If you don't like Terraria's combat, you're not gonna like the game. But I just don't really get how you couldn't like the combat. At least to me, it's very fun. To say you could not think of more miserable combat in the game is a little bit crazy. I mean, seriously. Red Dead Redemption 2 is arguably the greatest video game of all time, but if you try to convince me that this combat is better than Terraria's, I will kill you. Stuck on first boss, stupid game, would not recommend. 600 hours. Needing to build houses for NPCs ruined this once great sandbox game. Play Core Keeper or Minecraft instead. What? This guy says it was a once great sandbox game and cites needing to build houses for NPCs as his biggest complaint. You always needed to build houses for NPCs. What do you mean once great? If this guy's talking about NPC happiness, I mean, yeah, it's pretty annoying, but also you don't really need to build pylons, so it's still fine. Yes, I'm doing the meme. Hundreds of hours, not recommended. Nevertheless, I really didn't enjoy my time with Terraria. It felt like I was constantly looking for fun, but had to do work to get there, and the fun never really arrived. I see what this guy's kind of saying, but he has 200 hours in the game, so opinion invalid. It is a great game. The only thing I dislike is that you need to sacrifice the guide, a friendly NPC, to progress the main quest. Mods can take care of it, but the game itself does not require this kind of staff. I can definitely recommend this game to others. Okay, about the guide thing, I don't love that you have to sacrifice the guide either, but at the same time, it doesn't really ruin the game. If you don't like that aspect of the game, that's okay, but I also don't really see it as a reason to dislike the game. Terraria is a good game, but not for me. Excuse me, this is Steam review. The game is too overwhelming and I just cannot get myself to return to the game. The game does not have enough handholding to my liking. You're kind of thrown into the game and have to use a wiki or just suffer in confusion. Only reason I do not recommend it is because people like myself, meaning people who aren't a huge fan of open world / sandbox games, will likely not enjoy this game. See, this is somebody who's actually voicing a fair criticism for the game and also saying that it's decent but they just personally don't like it, so I'm actually very surprised. This might actually be the only valid negative Terraria review. The only other Steam review I would say is valid is refunded this gay crap. You know, this guy's a real thinker. Company greedy. They live because of saying journeys end and cry about ending the game, then take that media attention and push 14 new updates and squeeze more of the game. Let it die already. Okay, well, if you get past this Kanye level grammar and dialect, I think you can actually dissect a pretty interesting point. It takes a little bit of Moon Rune's translation, but eventually you can understand. What this guy is basically saying is that Terraria has been milking the final update thing for way too long, and I think think that's actually a little bit valid. Here's the thing, Terraria has been doing the final update gimmick for like 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 10 years now. It's been like 1.2 or 1.3 since that started, and at this point, nobody believes them. I would personally love to see a Terraria 2, a lot more than I would love to see these final updates, and I know that's counterintuitive because new updates and news gives content creators like me a lot easier content to make, but I just want a new Terraria game, man, or at the very least, something new from Relogic. Let's leave this video off on the most valid and true review I've seen for Terraria, the best negative review with the most fair argument: too fun.